Welcome to Lauren's Kitchen and Garden. I'm Lauren. This is my kitchen. Out there's my garden. This morning I woke up with quite the hankering for some biscotti to go with my coffee. But I have my coffee and no biscotti. Well, it's never too late to start, so come with me and let's get that done. I'm going to be making almond biscotti this morning. If that sounds like something that you'd like to hang out with me for, come along, join, and I will show you how it's done. This is quite a bit of a time-consuming process, so be prepared to spend a couple of hours on this. There are several steps that we're going to go through along the way. The first step is to make the dough, and then we're going to need to put it in the refrigerator for about 30 minutes to chill it, and then we're going to take the dough out and cook it, and then after we cook it, we're going to take it out, let it cool down, and slice it, and then we're going to cook it again. The word biscotti actually means twice baked, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to bake it twice. This recipe is very easy. It's got probably ingredients in the house that you already have, so you probably don't need to do much shopping. If you do, go to Walmart. I got everything I needed there, and it was relatively cheap. Now, the almond biscotti recipe I'm making today, usually I would just use plain roasted almonds, but I don't have any. I do have these, though, and I thought that sounded really good. So these are the cocoa dusted almonds, and I'm addicted to them. I love them so much. I eat these things all dang day. Anyway, so I have ahead of time got a cup of those nuts, these nuts. I chopped them up. I'm going to put them in a bowl, put them off to the side until we're ready. Now in this recipe, I'm using almonds, so I'm going to use almond extract. I really like that. But if you use like peanuts or pistachios, rum extract might actually be pretty good. You never know. Maybe just stick with vanilla. That's just fine too. So that's what I have, and I'm going to get started first by mixing my dry ingredients. And those ingredients are going to be listed in the description of the video below, but I'll give you the measurements the best as I can as I go along. First, we're going to do 2 cups of all-purpose flour. I don't sift mine, and it's always turned out fine. I feel like that is an extra step that people do that is unnecessary, in my opinion. If you feel like doing that, go for it. So we've got our 2 cups of flour. We're going to need 1 teaspoon of baking powder. That's a half teaspoon. I want 1 teaspoon of baking powder. It might be a little too much. Leveled. I want half a teaspoon of salt. Plain old salt, do the trick. I'm also using salted butter, so if you're worried about it, you can cut down on the salt by just a little bit. So we've got our flour, teaspoon of baking powder, and salt, and I want to get this a little mixed up, so I'm just going to use my spatula. Give that a little mix. Doesn't need to be perfect. You just really want to get the salt kind of evenly distributed through there. All right, that step is done. Put your dry ingredients off to the side. So for our wet ingredients, we are going to do 1 cup of white sugar. 1 cup of white sugar. 3 tablespoons of butter. About 1 tablespoon of olive oil. The olive oil actually helps make this a little bit crispier, and I like my biscotti super crispy. Now that we've got our olive oil, butter, and sugar, we need 1 egg. We're going to need 2 eggs. I've got these beautiful blue eggs for my chickens in the backyard, but we're going to need 2 eggs. Start with 1. And we're going to cream that together. And I'll show you what it looks like when it's done, because I've seen recipes before when I was younger that would say cream the butter, but I didn't exactly know what that meant. Like, what am I looking for? So we're just mixing and mashing all this together with my spatula. You can absolutely use a whisk, or I'm sorry, a hand mixer. That goes quicker. I just don't want to dirty any more stuff up than I need to. So it may be hard to tell because my bowl is yellow, but you can see kind of how yellow this mixture is. You see how yellow that is? When it's creamed, it will turn a lighter color. My spatula. My spatula broke. Please hold while I get another spatula. Use those fingers to clean it off if this happens to you, which hopefully it doesn't. How embarrassing. Well, that stinks. Alright, well, anyway, here I got my wooden spoon. That'll do the trick. Okay, once your mixture looks a little bit like this, it's definitely about maybe a shade or two lighter than it was before. Now we're going to add our next egg. So we've got 2 eggs in here total. And our flavoring, our almond and vanilla extract. For me, I'm going to do about a half a teaspoon or so of almond. Watch, my hands are shaking. Yep. And about, oh, it's so hard to open, my goodness. And about a half a teaspoon of vanilla extract, if I can get this stuff open. There we go. I'm not measuring, I'm using my heart. There we go. I'm almost out. Okay, and now we're going to get back to mixing. So we want to mix that egg and all the flavorings into that really, really well until everything is nicely incorporated. All right, this is what we end up with when we have all of our wet ingredients in one bowl. The next thing that we're going to do is take that bowl of dry ingredients back that we had from earlier, and we are going to mix it in with the wet ingredients. Unceremoniously throw that all in there. This is not one of those doughs that you're going to need to worry about over mixing. Just get in there, get it done. All right, once your dough is mixed together, then you can throw your chopped nuts in there and give that a good mix. Just getting all that incorporated. If your hands are clean, get in there with your hands and give this a good squish, because there are no better tools than your hands. And this spoon is giving me a workout, which is why I had to take my sweater off. I'm getting hot. All right. We got this mixed together. It looks pretty good to me. I like to get in there, mix all the nuts in with your hands as much as you can. You might have some stragglers, that's okay. I am going to shape this into 2 separate loaves, if you will. This is going to end up on this cookie sheet, and we're going to put it in the fridge for about 30 minutes to chill. There we go. That looks pretty good. Like about that shape. So it's about an inch wide at the ends and an inch tall here. You're just going to put that on your cookie sheet and do the next one. It's not perfect, and I think it looks pretty good. Onto the cookie sheet. All right, so this is what I've got. I've got 2 of these. They're going to go into the fridge for about 30 minutes or until I can get back to them. It's chilled enough. All right, this has been sitting in the refrigerator chilling for about 30 minutes, and I realized that I didn't put parchment paper underneath there before I put them in. So I took them off, put more parchment paper on the cookie sheet, and put them back on. The parchment paper is just going to keep the biscotti from sticking to the pan and a little less cleanup for you to do at the end of all this. They're ready to put into the center of a 350-degree Fahrenheit oven for about 30 minutes. So that's what I'm going to do now, and I will check back in with you when they're ready, and I'll show you what they look like when you take them out. These have been cooking for about 32 minutes in a 350-degree oven, and now they are a beautiful golden brown, and they are about ready to sit and cool. So they'll sit on the counter and cool for about an hour or more until they're completely set to room temperature. So you don't want them to be even a little bit warm when you cut into them. My husband likes them as is, so you could just eat them. Put them and eat them. But these are biscotti, not once Scotty. So I'm going to go let them sit for a while, and I'll come back to you when I'm ready to cut them. And now that these have been sitting on the counter cooling for about an hour, I am going to cut them into biscotti shapes. So on a little bit of an angle with a bread knife. It's going to be a little bit of a difficult thing, especially with these hard almonds in here, but cut them into 1-inch thick cookies. Like that. About that big. See? And put them back on your cookie sheet. Kitchen helper. Okay, now that we have our biscotti cut into biscotti shape pieces here, I am going to put this back into the oven at 325 this time. So you want to lower that temperature down to about 325, and we're going to leave them in there for about 10 minutes. And I'm going to flip them 5 minutes through. So 5 minutes on each side, 10 minute total, oven temperature 325. All right, this is our finished product. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today while I made biscotti. This is a wonderful snack for a chilly afternoon. Bundle up with your coffee and hang out and dip your biscotti. Cracking me up. Kevin and I thank you for your time and for joining us today. Please don't forget to subscribe and like this channel so that you can see more of my content. And I look forward to the next recipe and hanging out with you. Thank you. Have a great afternoon.